Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us. It's me. I'm usually here for morning coffee. I do stay up past 8 o'clock, despite what Timuchin may have said. I'll be your host tonight. First time doing this. I'm a longtime viewer of this, so this is very exciting that I get to host it. I appreciate all you guys. It's like meeting my favorite idols here.
Gordo, it's just nice to have another American here. That's what I have. We're putting the American in American Scouser.
There you go. I appreciate it. Well, tonight I'm joined by Sully, Glenn, JW. How are you guys?
Pretty good. Winning the Carling Cup today for Chelsea, so not bad.
Nice. Take it.
Everything sucks.
Yeah, dreading City in the Cup tomorrow, that's for sure.
Yeah, we were just chatting about that beforehand, and I put it down to, maybe in that time where Derby, somebody had a little bit more to prove, and we're just going to stick with that, I think. But we are going to talk about it. So and I apologize because I am trying to do my very best Macca impression here. So I'm going to throw ahead and get the schedule up here. So we'll talk about match day 16, talk about the time where Derby, talk about who wants it, because that Arsenal performance was very interesting. Obviously, Manchester United kind of flounder. Tottenham just pulling a classic Christmas present for everybody else. And it just still feels like it's anybody's Premier League at this point. And then the big one that's looming over all the teams, almost everybody loses somebody, is AFCON. Then we'll get into match week 17 and then finish with Tenali's picks. You guys are going to have to lead me through that one, obviously, because that's not something we do on the morning shows. So let's get right into it. So first up, let's talk results. Big standout for you guys, Sully. What's apart from your tragic loss, what other results stuck out to you this weekend?
Well, I mean, Glenn and Jamie, I'm gonna leave some meat on the bone for you guys, but I mean, Forest 3-0 Tottenham. That is holy. That who saw that coming? I mean, Tottenham looked like they had turned the corner. Forest looked like they were in free fall, and then 3-0 out of nowhere. I mean, just incredible. I did find it interesting on that Saturday. Every game had 2 goals by one team. That's an interesting little statistical anomaly there. But I mean, it's got to be Forest Tottenham. That's an unbelievable result. And am I wrong in saying who's sorry, it's been a long week at school. Who's Forest's coach right now?
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. Sean Dyche is.
Okay, it's Sean Dyche. Because I was going to say, I was like, why do I feel like Forest has Tottenham's old manager? But now that I know it's Sean Dyche, there's nothing more to say about this. This is a classic Sean Dyche result. Come in midway through a season and start getting results, and then piss off to another team at the end of the season. But still, I mean, that is a classic Sean Dyche job right there. But yeah, so for me, it's Forest Tottenham without question.
Jay, I'll throw it over to you. Anything to add? Any other games stand out to you?
West Ham nearly got something against Villa, like high-flying Villa. They crept up on me this year. I swear we spoke at length multiple episodes in a row about how Villa didn't score a goal for 5 weeks. So I literally wrote them off and wasn't paying attention to them. And then suddenly you see them popping up at the top of the table. Morgan Rogers giving Thomas Tuchel a little bit to think about this summer at the World Cup. But I mean, if we're talking about a Chelsea in a title race, a Villa, other than the fact that Villa never win anything, like, are they in a title race? Like, potentially?
Yeah, I mean, it's West Ham, so you can't get too excited because we beat them 2-0, and we've been really struggling to A, hold clean sheets, then B, get results. So, but you can only beat who they put in front of you. And obviously having to come from behind, I mean, those are the kind of scrappy wins that win you something. And yeah, I mean, at the beginning of the year, they were in free fall. It looked like, shadows of a Villa team from maybe 2 years ago where they were just high flying, getting themselves into Europe. And now it looks like they're back. Whatever was said in the dressing room, whatever changed over there, it's definitely a new life. And yeah, it's
so condensed together that all you have to do is string a few results together, especially around this period we have coming up, and you can really do something.
Definitely. Yeah. Just don't lose and collect points. And, you don't know where you're going to be, especially because of all the results that we've seen over the last couple of weeks of, one of the topics that I want to bring up is just like who wants this Premier League, because every week we see somebody dropping it, or getting very lucky with teams that they should easily be beating. So, get your results and let everybody else do their dirty work and see where you end up. But Glenn, I'll pass it over to you. Any games stand out from this weekend?
Yeah, I quite like you both leaving me the 8-goal thriller at Old Trafford. That was quite generous of you. I mean, maybe it's just a sign of the times and where, honestly, both teams are, right? Because Bournemouth, at the start of the season, they were the Villa, right? They were the overachievers. They were right up there, 5th, 6th, right up there for a while with Semenyo on fire. And they've kind of fallen away for a couple of different reasons. They just don't have the depth of squad. But yeah, I mean, that was the kind of game where you step away from the screen, as I did a couple of times, and you miss not 1 goal, but 2 goals. It was absolutely thrilling. And for a Monday night game back in England, that had everything, didn't it? It had worldies, it had comebacks, it had United just playing the best football they've played all season in the first half and still not managing to push a particularly, strong goal lead over Bournemouth. You've got the worldie from Bruno. You've got the incredible, late equalizer. That game as a spectacle had everything. But I do think it's interesting that, we haven't pointed to it yet because of maybe a lack of title significance. But it's just, again, a sign of the times where United are as a team. They play out a 4-4 draw, and it's basically third on our list of games that stands out. I think that's pretty surprising. And yeah, beyond that, I mean, it's Man City sharpening the knives there, just behind Arsenal, really showing their title credentials. That's not a surprise. It's not a surprise with Palace. They're going to really suffer the next couple of weeks with their schedule pile up and their lack of depth. That's going to be the thing that pushes Glasner out the door sooner rather than later, will be his frustration. But City still brushed aside, although it was an even game. It was a more even game than the 3-0 suggests. They still, score sheet wise, brushed aside a very good Palace team. So yeah, and while they did that, as you touched on at the top, Gordo, I'm sure we'll talk about this a little bit later. I watched the full 90 of Arsenal really laboring away to get the 3 points versus Wolves, and that's probably a game worth thinking about because there's obviously implications at the top of the table. Again, for Wolves, when it rains, it pours. No sooner had they celebrated the equalizer than that was it. I did feel for the away end at that point because you're expected to get nothing. Everyone's written you off 4-5-0. That's what I was thinking. You put in a gritty 90 minutes, you get the goal, you get the punch on the counter, and still Bukayo Saka makes something happen.
96 minutes too. Just, right there, skin in their teeth. And I think that is, and you kind of alluded to it, and something I wanted to touch on is that difference there between the City 3-0, because Palace is traditionally a team, especially at home, that gives City a run for their money. Almost every year, that's a fixture we can look for where City or Palace can take some points off of City, and City played them, perfectly. Like you said, it was a little closer, but I never felt that they were out of the driver's seat. Phil Foden right now is just in a vein of form. As long as you get the ball to Haaland somewhere inside the 18-yard box, he's going to put the ball away this season again. Whatever cobwebs he had at the end of last season, it has been dusted off, and he's back to his scoring ways. And then you look at that Arsenal-Wolves, where top of the table, bottom of the table, Wolves cannot get a point to save their life. And Arsenal really did struggle with them. In order to get that goal at the end, those are the games you win, right? It's 3 points. So they walk away, at the end of the season, if they lift the trophy, maybe we don't even talk about this, but it just seemed like that pivotal moment. And usually December for Arsenal is a very telling month. It is for anybody who's right on the cups there. And the other thing about Arsenal is injuries are mounting. So it'll be interesting to see where they go from there.
Interesting to see how big of a lead is big enough for Arsenal fans to feel comfortable.
Well, and that's the thing. So in being in that position, you're always having City chasing, right? Or being in a position where you're either chasing City or they're chasing you. There really is no, even last year when we were cakewalking the league, there was always, you asked people like myself or Timuchin, who's glass half full type people when it comes to Liverpool FC, you're not going to relax until they actually say, hey, you're mathematically, you won. Okay, it's okay. It's like some kind of PTSD. You got to shake this out of it. And for Arsenal, who haven't won it, because that's the other thing too, is it's easier you always see it in the American sports, where a team that's been there before always has that advantage of the pressure. Okay, the games are mounting up, injuries are coming, the target's on our back, and the teams that have been there before can kind of brush that aside and get down to business. And the teams that come up short, I mean, that's always in the back of their mind. So it'll be interesting. It could get to the end of January and see where we've all shaken out.
On the flip side of that, not talking about the top, talking about the bottom, looking at Wolves' last 5 games, the only one that was really a bloodbath was the Man U game, 4-1. 2-1 to Arsenal, 1-0 to Forest, 1-0 to Villa, 2-0 to Palace. I hate to say it, but could Wolves pull a rabbit out of their ass and somehow avoid the drop this season? I mean, those games are close. They're playing people competitively, all that good stuff. I mean, I'd love for Strand Larson to come over. I think he's probably regretting his decision to not sign for Newcastle this summer. But I would not count them out of the as a for sure drop this season. If they keep these results, I think they could get lucky a couple of times this winter, and maybe the bottom changes a little bit.
Yeah, so sorry, I'm trying to figure out this feed too, because I didn't know we're actually broadcasting. So let me see if I can switch this real quick. I don't know if we're gonna get lucky here, guys. I think it was just the way I set it up. So I apologize if this is too much for everyone to handle. I do apologize. It's a new feature, and I thought it would work and fix ourselves, but I guess not.
We deal with Maka. You're good, Gordo.
But yeah, so sorry. Back to the task at hand here. Yeah, so moving into some of the games that I want to talk about here. Let's talk about this one. I know it's going to be painful, but it is a situation, that where I think a lot of eyes were on this one. There was certainly a lot of hype before the game to get the tickets coming in for viewership, and I don't know. I think it lived up to it. It was gritty. For fans that maybe tuned in, that maybe saw the hype and aren't really into the sport and came to watch this game, maybe a little disappointing. But for those of us who like the sport, I don't think it gets any better than this in terms of seeing that fire. Because as we move into further and further away from the 80s, unfortunately, these players are not as tied to the cities as they used to be, and so these rivalries can sometimes lose a bit of sting. I mean, we've seen it over the years, and for a number of different reasons, but Liverpool, Manchester United used to be, tongue and nails, and now it's not so much. It could be just placement in terms of where they are on the table, but this one lived up to it, I think, and it was good to hear the fans. They were definitely boisterous. Sully, I'll hold on to you for the last because I want to get your honest take on it. But Jay, how did you feel? Did you watch this game, and what did you take away from it?
I caught the highlights, so apologies if I missed anything.
Highlights?
I mean, had to see the goal for myself. He's in my fantasy team, so you want to see how you're getting penalized points. But I get what you said, Gordo, about kind of rivalries, but it does make a difference when some of the players, some of the older players, let's say, lean in and really embody that. I think Newcastle's midfield, they know what the fans want. Jimenez isn't old, but those guys kind of know kind of what this rivalry is about. It hasn't been a game that's been played too often, obviously, given the disparity in kind of where Sunderland have been. But yeah, you could see it mattered, that game. And I think there's a different caliber of how you rank, or how I at least rate it. A beautiful game of football, or a derby game, because derby games, they objectively measured by the same standard would be a very poor game of football. But there's just that extra element that kind of, it's cagey, it's edgy. The refs let tackles go a little more than they otherwise would, and this was no different.
Yeah, I think we took a lot of that from this game. It's probably something, as much as I hate the PGMLL, there probably was some talk about, this one the fans might get into the players' heads and influence the game, and certainly let it play on. There was a few that I wasn't 100% sure the ref was even ready to call any of those tackles where you just clip somebody's ankle as they drive by you. They was let 4 or 5 of those go, and I think it gave the game a little bit of life. And in my opinion, the game was allowed to flow, even though it was a little testy. Because if they had called everything that we've seen some of these refs calling fouls this season, that would have been an extremely boring game, in my opinion, because they would have just been stopping every 2 or 3 seconds.
Good to see Xhaka kind of come off the pitch with blood on him as well, like proper derby game.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And I don't know. Just there's something very poetic about the incoming away striker scoring the own goal for the loss. It's just I don't know. It doesn't get more poetic than that, in my opinion. But Glenn, did you watch this? What did you take away from it?
Didn't catch the full game, but very interesting. Just Sunderland cementing their position as the surprise package of the season by a mile. I mean, they're backing it up with result after result. Sully, I mean, you guys just don't travel well. We know that this season. It's a shame you couldn't figure your team's kind of away day mentality out for this particular occasion, because you just didn't put in a good enough performance. And yeah, it was an attritional game, wasn't it? It was everything derby, as we've all said. It's a good old-fashioned, hard-fought game. We love the little tactics that Sunderland are playing with visitors on the big screen, various other old-school fun little things, just to give it that extra bit of life. And, as a neutral, I don't really mind who wins, but I do particularly love the Sunderland fan base. They've obviously been through the ringer the last few years.
You take that back right now.
It was just a proper old-school derby, and yeah, I mean, credit to Sunderland. They are absolutely flying. They're obviously not going to be relegated. They're obviously, they should push for Europe for as long as they can, realistically do that. And they're going to lose a lot of players to AFCON, which we're going to get onto. But yeah, I wasn't surprised by the result, because Sunderland have form. Newcastle are really exceptionally poor away from home. Eddie Howe's got to figure this out. But I will say, these are two clubs in the north on Tyneside who are really strong at home, and I wouldn't want to go to the Stadium of Light or go to Sully's backyard either, because these are hard places to go and get a result. And although we've done that already this season, and unfortunately we threw away what should have been a pretty straightforward 3 points with some really, really just disappointing play. But yeah, it was just a good old-fashioned derby, and it's really good to see it back in the Premier League. This is one of those derbies that still matters. It's not quite. It's up there with. I think it's up there with the best in kind of Scottish and English football in terms of a derby and Welsh football. It's a proper game, and it was hard fought. I was going to say, hopefully the next one, at Newcastle is a bit more of a fun spectacle. Maybe let's get a couple more goals that aren't scored by Voltemade's head in the wrong net. And I felt for him, right? He looked miserable, the poor bloke.
Yeah. Of course, and when he came off, the home supporters cheering him, just salt in the wounds there. But you love to see it as a neutral fan. It's what makes the sport so great. But yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. It has set up the return fixture pretty nicely for the neutral. But Sully, what about for the not neutral? What about for someone that's invested in this?
Okay, well, I'm looking at these stats, and, a stat that's missing is the fucking red card that should have been called for that tackle on Dan Byrne. Broken ribs and a ruptured lung. How do you not send that guy off for that? How do you not send him off? Absolutely ridiculous. Classic stadium of shite home cooking. Absolutely awful. How can you allow that to happen? And especially because it's Dan Byrne. You got to hit him pretty fucking hard in order to break his ribs and his lung. Even my wife watching next to me on the couch was like, wow, he really doesn't look very good during that corner kick where he obviously couldn't get enough oxygen because his lung was punctured.
Yeah.
How do you
air is thin up there.
Wait, what'd you say? Oh, yeah, the area. Yes, true. How do you not send him off for that? How does I think it was Broby? Broby. How do you not send him off for that? That is outrageous. You don't even go to a VAR check to see if it's a red. He had 2 knees into the diaphragm Fram of Dan Byrne. Like absolutely atrocious, absolutely terrible. Now, in terms of it, like getting the feel for a derby,
Was it? Sorry, Solly. Was it not a 50-50? Was it not?
Dan Byrne got the ball, and then he pulls his legs up to deliver like the Mortal Kombat KO. Like, yeah, it's 50-50 until it's not. Like, terrible reffing. Terrible. But with that being said, this was always going to shape up to be a proper derby, like you guys said. Our midfield is always up for it. Bruno might, if you cut Bruno on the arm, he's going to bleed black and white, which he should probably go to the hospital for. But you look at the other side, you still have Luke O'Nien on the bench. Luke O'Nien, it doesn't matter if he's on the field or on the bench. That guy is Sunderland. All right, he's gonna get the boys ready, and all you had to do for Xhaka to get up the game is be like, "Hey, Mitrovic used to play for this team. Go get him." Like that's what it came down to. You have two guys on Sunderland who are up for derbies. You've got our midfield who are up for derbies. And honestly, this game probably should have finished 0-0. Poor Voltamade. There was one comment that was like, the cross was so good he forgot what end he was on, and I kind of agree with that. Like, I could tell what he wanted to do, but he should never have to be in that position to do it. But once again, we're not getting the not just results. We're not getting the production from players that we had last season. I hate this subbing. This subbing of Joe Willock into the midfield. Like, I hate him playing in the middle. He should not be playing in the middle of the park. That's a desperation move. All right. I will say Miley, Hall, Livermento, all looking great. Anthony Gordon looked pretty solid this game. This was a game, though, that Anthony Gordon needed to get up to some shit housing. This was a game where Anthony Gordon needed to be in the face of some of these Sunderland players, really getting them going. Because Sunderland was sitting on the edge with some cards pretty early on. And if Gordon, I think, had flipped a switch and said, "Hey, guess what? I'm going to get you that second yellow," I think this might be a different game, even though there should have been a straight red. But more annoying than all of that is I had that stupid Elvis song that the Sunderland fans sing stuck in my head the rest of the day, because they just kept singing it. And it was like, my Bears lost to the Packers last weekend, and now I have to deal with Sunderland rising from the ashes like a fucking dirty ass phoenix coming out of that town and beat us again. It's just so I almost wore my Northern Rock Newcastle jersey because that's what I feel like I'm watching at this point. I feel like I'm watching that team play. Alenga, get him out of here. He's taking up a shirt. All right, he's like a clothes hanger. Okay, cannot stand him. Jacob Ramsey in the midfield. Where has he been? Where is Ramsey? What, like, Eddie? That's the guy you have to train up and get that little bit of extra experience, because he is who you brought in for the midfield coverage when you got to sub Bruno, Jolinton, and Tonali out. So I don't know. I have not lost faith in Eddie by any chance, but God, is this frustrating to watch. And wow, that was a great 5-minute cameo by Vissa, who's about to go off to AFCON for the next 2 months.
This is warm-up. His AFCON warm-up.
Yeah, seriously. And Glenn, you know in your heart of hearts, he's going to come back from AFCON with like 2 torn hamstrings, a foot facing the wrong way, dislocated elbow, nose smeared all over his face. It's what's going to happen.
I'd love to see what losing faith looks like.
Yeah. But yeah, like this is just so frustrating. It's so frustrating, and it hasn't changed. Like, I've been watching the same Newcastle game now for the last 2-3 months. Like it's outrageous. There have to be tactics that get changed. It's just ridiculous. So that's where I'm at with this game. But it is what it is. It is what it is. So it looks like we're just waiting for Gordo to get back on. So do you want to pass JW? I'll pass this over to you. Here you go.
I want to hear about. I know we've heard about the miseries of Newcastle. Let's hear some feel-good stories at the Bridge. Let's hear about Palmer. Let's hear about some excitement.
Finally got a win. Palmer got on the score sheet. Didn't play great. I think Everton could definitely have got something out of the game. But nice to see us pull it together and keep a clean sheet as well. Shame to see Dewsbury Hall pull up. I think he's going to be out for a few weeks. But yeah, I think this needs to be the start of something. Not playing fantastically well and getting something out of the game, putting together a few chances. We were not fantastic by any means, but typically Chelsea not being fantastic rarely means us keeping a clean sheet and scoring 2 goals. So if we can do that, a little bit more of that, then it's going to be big for us. Like one yellow card for Chelsea. Yeah, thank you very much. Quite poor in the disciplinary ranks, so would certainly take that. Decent amount of attempts, and I didn't actually see us double them in XG. Like from when I was watching, it looked like their chances were more than would have added to more than 1.03 XG, but I don't make that up. But gave away 11 chances. We definitely are starting to have a kind of a 2-tier squad like we did last season. Though there is the starters who have established themselves, and whenever we try, Maresca always comes out and says, like, I need to, like, my players are tired. But as soon as we put in the second string, they really struggle, and that's where we kind of lose a lot of these games. So thankfully we don't have anyone going to AFCON, so we're not going to get weakened further. I'm actually surprised we don't have anyone going. It's rare for the team managers to figure that out. Well bought Chelsea. But I guess what was the more interesting than this was after the game, after a 2-0 win, Maresca comes out and says, this has been the worst 48 hours of my career at Chelsea. And I was like, what? I've not heard that. And he's either talking to the media, which he's not really talking about. He's talking about the owners, clearly, and a little bit interesting to see what's going on there. So, like, has the goalpost moved and then suddenly saying you're in a title race, I need you to win the league, or I need you to win a trophy this year? And perhaps he's pushing back, saying it would be great if you could give me a few experienced players who could kind of go along with the school kids that I'm looking after at daycare. But yeah, we'll see what comes of that. I mean, it's never, not just at Chelsea, but at football in general. Hello.
I sense a disturbance in the force. So
yeah,
Gordo looks different.
Guys, come on. Dad's home. Dad's home.
Was
everything away.
Yeah. How are you?
Carry on. I didn't want to interrupt. Go ahead.
I'm finishing up. Was just saying how
turn off the TV.
Talking about Maresca's stance that he's taken on this being the worst 48 hours of my career coming out of the Everton game, and that's especially at Chelsea. But typically speaking, that's not normally a hill anyone wants to plant their flag on and say me versus you ownership, unless your name's Jose Mourinho or someone with a bag, like a load of like credit in the bank. Not sure he quite has it, as we could see the downfall of Maresca if he continues like that. He's been fine for us. I think he's got a few more Chelsea fans on side after the Club World Cup and some of the runs we've gone on this season, but he's not had a blemish-free record. So I'm very intrigued how, like, if we don't have a good Christmas period, we could see changes happening. We'll see.
Wait, what kind of changes?
Well, Maresca decided to randomly come out and say this has been the worst 48 hours of my time at Chelsea, and media was all surprised and asked him about it, and then he was quite cryptic in his response. Was basically like, no, it's not. I'm not talking about the players. I'm not talking about the media. I'm not, and then is talking about the club and the ownership. So
Oh, I thought maybe he had the runs or something. He's like, it's been rough the last 48
no,
hours.
no. He's sorry, I should have been more clear. But interesting to that coming out of a win. But I guess watch this space. We made it through to the Carling Cup semi-final today after nearly tripping up over Cardiff City, but thankfully beat them. After I was talking about two kind of A team, B team. Our A team came on and were relied on to get us through, unfortunately.
JW, I got a question for you real quick. Is Mudryk really training for the Olympics? Is that like a legitimate story that I saw?
Who knows? I heard rumors that he's going to. They're pretty confident that his ban is going to get rescinded or at least reduced, and he's going to go to Strasbourg. Feels like Red Bull racing. Like you've got a B team, you just kind of put him in there and get him back on his feet.
What is he going to be doing? Is he like, hey, let me go somewhere where everybody else is doping? I know. I'll just go to the Olympics.
I was going to say, maybe he shouldn't go to Red Bull. He should go to White Ball. That's where he should be headed.
I think that isn't there some games like where athletes are all doping? Like that, I saw that on TV recently. That sounds perfect for him.
I think he's just going to miss the entrance fees for that. I think he's just missed the sign-up time.
Ryan says, just tuned in. Are the inmates running the prison? Let the cowboy in charge over here, right? You put a cowboy in charge, this is what happens.
Hey,
but he's back.
I have the texts when you said, I don't know. It's just they're new features. I don't know if you see the YouTube, but
both of them are on there. I once earlier where everybody was vertical, but both of them are on there. Depends on like which broadcast you go to.
And you know it's bad because I was just in the lobby there, and we had a handful of viewers that when my face popped up, a bunch of people dropped off, and they're like, "Oh, this guy's back." I thought we were done with him. So.
But at least the order is restored. So I'll let you run the show and do your cowboy thing over there. You guys have a great night.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dad.
We'll just keep our fingers crossed this stays on. Sorry about that, everybody. Sorry about that to you guys as well. Where were we? Oh man,
we're into Chelsea now, Gordo.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll remove this because we're just.
I think we've just finished Chelsea. I think there's Glenn's got some thoughts, I'm sure, on the on Brentford this weekend, and then we can move on.
I've said them all, Jamie. I was on a Brentford podcast on yesterday. Feels like a while ago. So I had an hour and 10 minutes to kind of process through it. I mean, there's a couple comments in the chat about Henderson, and I mean, him and Jack have been two of the best signings I think of the summer window, to be honest, in terms of their importance for the club. Great to see him score after a long couple of years without scoring. Great to see his Jota celebration. Loads of positives there. But yeah, I mean, long story short, disappointing performance. Our levels were lacking throughout. Leeds, it was a bad time to play Leeds, as Jamie found out. As you've both found out, Gordo and Jamie found out. Leeds are no mugs this season, and
Super Leeds.
You've both been taken for a ride at Ellen Road, and they took that form on the road over to our place, and they were good. They were well organized, well drilled. We just didn't have the kind of nous or quality to unpick them, and we looked a bit labored, really. So, when all said and done, a point against the resurgent Leeds, I'm not gonna, go complaining about because that's a little arrogant. What I would say is the performance itself was really lacking. So, looking inward, it was super disappointing, and honestly, looking forward. 3 games in 6 days. We're losing Dango to AFCON, which might be a nice transition to AFCON chat in just a moment. He's been okay for us. He's been fine, but he is a key part of our front three, right? We do not have any depth in that front three. We've got Reece Nelson on loan from Arsenal, who doesn't seem to be able to get any fitness for us or any tempo. Carvalho from you guys was kind of pretty poor, and then he was injured. He's been a horror signing for him and us. It's been a disaster, Carvalho. A rare miss from our recruitment team, I'd say, with him. But yeah, it's just disappointing. So, you're looking at our front three for the next couple of weeks. It's like, well, Thiago, of course, Schade, Keane Lewis Potter again up there. He looked pretty mediocre against Leeds. And then you're out, right? You've kind of run out. So I think the whole Wissergate Sully that we had to deal with, right? It became such a focal point, just like you guys with Isak. It was such a huge distraction. And Liverpool, you guys got so wrapped up in Isak Gate, you could not be bothered to go buy a centre back, and that's going to kill you this season. Going to kill you. So all three of us all three of us got really, really done in by big transfers, by big focal points, by players acting up, right? It really, the legacy of those three transfers, and Sully, you said, tongue-in-cheek, Wissa, you get a 5-minute cameo from Wissa before he jets off to get injured somewhere else. Like that merry-go-round of signings has been a catastrophe for every club. It's been a disaster. And for Brentford, we're kind of unfortunately reaping the consequences of that now, because I think we expected Wissa to stay. I think had he not had this standoff, the plan was for him to stay. He had an extra year to run, optional on his contract. He was not in his last year. He had a bonus one we could have signed. So I think with your centre-backs, Gordo, Sully, Voltamati's been brilliant, but obviously you've had a pretty up and down season, obviously. And for us, we panicked. We did end up selling Wissa. I don't think we wanted to. And up front, we look super, super lightweight right now. Not in terms of our starting front three of Dango, Shada, and Thiago. They're very solid. They're great. But the second you take away Dango for AFCON, there's just no one else. It's just brutal. So I think the legacy of a very, very messy and very, very uncharacteristic window for all three of our clubs, I think we're all dealing with the consequences of that kind of, really, really just chaotic couple of weeks for us all.
Can I just get a show of hands for fuck Isak? Gordo, get your hand. Yeah.
Well, okay, so
J-Dub,
I'll say,
come on, there you go. There you go.
this looks more like Nostradamus saying it after the fact, but I was totally, even in the very early stages, right after we had won and we were linked to him, in middle of I think the first inklings we heard was like end of January, February, that they were in talks, or at least that was a target that we were looking at. And I just felt that it wasn't a player that I felt that we normally go after, right? For so many years, we've been going after these diamonds in the rough, right? Where we can make a decent athletic player fit into a system and become 10 times better than they would anywhere else. And Isak seemed like this, part and parcel, everything. He's basically a polished diamond. And I felt like even early on when it was 100 million, I thought it was too much for him, especially with his injury record. And then to watch us get dragged further and further, and I'm just like, I didn't want it to begin with, even if it was simple and everyone was handshakes and this is good. And the longer it dragged on, I was just like, pull the cord. Let's get out of this. This is terrible. This is not going to work for anybody. And again, we were so focused on that, we lost almost a guaranteed signing in Gehi, which, as you can see, that's one of our biggest issues right now is a center back pairing. And the hardest part for us is we can't escape. So our main two center backs are having not great seasons, but we don't have another option. And now that Gomez, who just got himself back into fitness for his 3 games that he gives us a year, now he's out again with injury. And so again, we're left with nobody except children. We've sold Kwanzaa, who I felt, maybe the manager just had a falling out with him, but I thought there was something there. I thought there was something that we were going to build on. Kanate had a great season last year, but Nick, this is the Kanate that I felt that he's always been. And yeah, we were so embroiled with it that we missed out on. The fact that we were going with it, we couldn't meet a very, very cheap, even for what they were asking for, what Palace was asking for Gehi, was so cheap for the player that he is. If you're willing to spend $120 million on Isak, why can't you spend for 40 million, 45 million on Gehi when he's easily a $65, $70 million center back in this?
One of England's best centre backs, right? He's going to be right in the midst of it at the World Cup. And he's shown, right, Gordo, at Palace this season. He's shown his attitude, right? He didn't go on strike, as we discussed before. We'd have to get all of it. But he has shown time and time and time again, not only is he one of the best centre-backs in division, he's got he got assists. He is as close to a complete package for that price as you can get. And you're totally spot on.
Premier League battle worn as well. So there's not going to be, can he make it to league? I
think everyone's heads just got a little bit turned and got a bit confused. And for you guys to be without a deputy, seriously high quality centre-back who could then drop in, he would have come in for Kanate weeks and weeks weeks ago. That goes without saying. So it's tough.
Yeah, I felt, and the hardest part about that is globally too, right? It doesn't just impact Gehi and Isak and Liverpool and Newcastle. It affects everybody because there are young players and there are younger agents that watched that whole saga, right? You had one player throw all the towels out of the bathtub or whatever phrase you want to use. He throws a giant fit and he gets his way. And then you have one player that acts as a professional and he misses his move. And so what do you think that tells somebody, right? Am I going to be professional, or should I, if I want this move, should I act the way Isak acted, or should I act the way Gehi acted? And I think it's going to have huge rippling effects down the line, because what we watched was basically awarding that kind of behavior from everybody, because it wasn't just Isak, it wasn't just Isak's agent, it was Liverpool, it was Newcastle, it was all of them combined, and the way that they handled themselves. And that's the move that ended up working, and the one that was quiet and civil and professional didn't go through.
And I mean, we did sign, like, behind Voltamade, our best signing of this transfer window is Malik Chow. Like, he is he is outstanding. So we did bring in a center back. Shar has just gone off a cliff. Botman's always hurt, and Dan Burn has a punctured lung. So, like, I mean, we could have brought in another center back, but we did address that issue. It's the other signings that we've had that haven't been able to cover for a position that we needed two of, and we only got one.
Yeah. And, I cut off before I could say it, but man, Dan Burn, he wanted to come back in. That was the best part, right? Like,
he literally couldn't breathe. It looked like he was going to pass out there. Like, I mean, his face looked like the color shade of green of your flag next to you. Yeah. Like,
but they had to tell him to leave, though. That's the best part. Like, no, you have to go. He's like, I got this. I'm not leaving. Yeah. But
it's only Sunderland. I'm not no trouble.
And homegrown boy. I'm pretty sure you would have needed a stretcher to get him off the field.
Oh, definitely. So speaking of players we're losing and not picking up, looking at the list, I don't know if you guys.
Dan Burns not going to AFCON, so we're okay. We're good.
He wouldn't be going anyways. The one that shocked me the most, I think, Arsenal. How many? There's no AFCON players leaving Arsenal. I don't think I can remember a time when they've not had an AFCON player in their squad. That is surprising. Luckily for them, because right now you'd think even losing one more player with that injury list is going to be a very difficult winter for them. But out of everybody that's going, who do you think suffers the most?
It's a good question. I think a couple of teams are going to miss key players, right? So United are going to miss Mbeumo big time. Like, he is a key part of that attack, but they've got depth as well. I look at a team like Everton, where they're going to lose Ndai, who is the heartbeat of that team creatively. Like, I think he's one of the best players in the division. He is the definition of a baller. He's one of my favorite players, like, hands down in football. Like, he is so gifted. He's got a great work rate. He's just a proper footballer. And they're going to miss Idrissa Gueye as well.
At a time when Dewsbury Hall is also out injured,
of course,
that's going to be crippling for them. That's good for Liverpool. You might be able to get above them.
That's a great point, Jane. Like, that was a brutal injury for Everton. In the peak of this form, Dewsbury Hall has just been flying. Really such a shame. I know, and such a shame for it to be at the Bridge as well. I was looking at this list earlier. I think there's a couple of other players. I think Fulham, it's going to hurt Fulham a fair bit as well, right? Iwobi, Bassi, if anyone saw his sensational run down the pitch and then shanking it out, that was probably the highlight of the weekend.
Did you see the Senegal or the Nigerian bus as they were ribbing him on the bus?
Yes, when they're showing it. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I missed that. I'll have to check it out.
That was hysterical. Chukwueze's been playing well for them as well. So, I'm just curious. There's some key players at clubs that you're not necessarily looking at. You're totally right. Whoever put it in the chat that Ryan, as you mentioned, I said, I don't know if it was early we mentioned it. I think Sunderland are losing 7. So they are losing more than double any other team, right? So the teams closest to them, it's United, Fulham, Burnley with 3, and then you drop down to the 2s and 1s. In a different timeline, Marmoush and Aït-Nouri would be brutal for City. It just hasn't been their season fitness-wise, so it doesn't actually matter. But they are really instrumental players when they're fit. And then, Burnley, I mean, it's not going to help them losing Tunzabi, Foster. These are players that play minutes for them, right? I think it's really going to impact the middling to lower teams. I mean, the Fulhams, the Evertons, the Burnleys, because we don't have Brentford. I mean, yeah, we're only losing 2 players, one of significance in Atara, but we do not have the squad depth to replace a 40 million winger. Everton cannot replace and die, right? Even Burnley don't just pick. Lyle Foster's played loads of minutes for them. He scored a handful of goals. You don't magically replace a key forward if you're Burnley or Brentford or Everton, right? They're the clubs I think it's going to kill. And then Sunderland, hey, that's brutal. That's absolutely brutal. So we will see with that.
And Chelsea not losing anybody either. No AFCON players, which is nice. I mean, and these are the times too that the top of the pack might separate themselves from that middle of the pack, because some of those top teams are not losing. Well, the players that they are losing, they have the players to replace those guys. For a team like Liverpool, Mohamed Salah leaving. I mean, there has never been a better time for Mohamed Salah to leave for AFCON. I think it's going to be a breath of fresh air for both teams, get themselves separated. Maybe Salah can do something in AFCON and come back a little refreshed, or the team learns how to cope without him and move forward. Because, I hate to say it, but, the 5 games that we played without him, we picked up points. You cannot blame that solely on Salah, but, it is what it is. And when you have a system that's working, when you're in free fall, you stick with that system, and currently that system is without Mo. So, those players, Chelsea not losing anybody, Arsenal not losing anybody, City only losing 1 player, Liverpool losing 1 player who's huge but is not producing at the moment. This could be where we could see that separation from the front of the back.
Are Villa losing anyone?
It's a good
I don't
question.
think so.
We're not either. Because if you look at the league, we're starting to get like a little gaps emerging. Right, you've got the massive cliff at the bottom above Wolves, but Arsenal, City, Villa fairly close together. Chelsea 5 points behind Villa. Like, interesting to see if AFCON. I mean, AFCON's obviously coming after or in and amongst the big busy Christmas period, so these gaps are going to emerge thick and fast. It's going to be a really interesting time to monitor, see what's going on. Liverpool, Man United, like 6th and 7th, but like only 2 points behind Chelsea. Like, and given the season you've had, you're 2 points outside the Champions League. It's not bad.
This is going to be one of those frustrating seasons, I think, for us, where we look and go, man, if we had just gotten our shit together against insert lower half of the table team on that given day, we'd be right back in the mix of it. So, but yeah, it's by the time we get to January 30th, what is it? Six match weeks, I believe, something ridiculous like that. So we've got the one coming up. We've got Boxing Day, and then the 4 in January, maybe 5 in January. So, these places could be significantly changed. There's lots of points on offer over the course of the next few weeks. And missing key players is going to be huge. I think, Sunderland, I think they put themselves in a good position to not be relegated this year, but I think we'll see them slip into where we probably all expected them, maybe even a little bit higher, but 15th, 16th by the end of this.
I don't know what we're going to do without Vissa. I mean, he's just been such a key part of our team and like the culture around Newcastle. So
I'll tell you what. Talking of non-sarcastic send-offs, how about Sangari for Notts Forest? 2 assists and a worldie of a goal. Yeah. That's how you wave goodbye before you get on the plane. That's how you do it.
Yeah, that's a couple of highlight reels will be on the Christmas DVD box set that everyone's going to get in their stockings this year, and they'll shed a tear as it ends. But all right, let's move into the match week coming up, which is going to be Saturday the 20th, Sunday the 21st, Monday, and then I don't have it here, but there's only 4 days between that 22nd. This is the best time of the year to be a fan. Maybe one of the worst times to be a player. I couldn't imagine the cold, the rain, all the games in a row. So we've got a lot to look forward to. But from this match,
it was -10 at the Bears game on Sunday. Like these guys are fine.
Yeah, so we won't get into it here. But I've got some. We got to talk about the Bears because I'm originally from Chicago. So,
There we go.
Although for the cold specifically, I saw that you probably saw the video where somebody opens their bottle of Pepsi and they pour it in the cup and it freezes as they put it in the cup. I mean, that's not weather to watch sport for me. But hey, I'm not from Chicago. What can I say? I'm from London. It doesn't get that cold in London.
That was in Newcastle.
Yeah, definitely.
We have Greg's to keep us warm up there.
It was the cold that broke his ribs. He just had it. That collision helped it over the edge. That's what it was. The ribs were already cracked.
I hope he didn't seek medical attention in Sunderland. Like, I mean, I don't even think Sunderland has doctors. They got like free clinics in the back of the bodega and stuff.
I can't speak for that, but Jay, do you see anything that stands out to you that you're going to be
Sorry, Sully. You know what they've got in those? You know what they've got in those medical centers, Sully? 3 points. They got 3 points.
Yeah.
I'll take 2, Glenn.
There's a few games that actually are quite interesting to me, and I'm sorry if I'm going all over the leaderboard here or over the board. Brighton Sunderland, like kind of both vying for European places. We'll see kind of who comes out on top there. Interesting to see Leeds Palace. Leeds have also been playing well. Palace have dropped a few points, but are still well in with a shout in 5th position in the league. I think that'll be kind of a Palace are obviously favoured to win, but Leeds are still on a run of form. If they can put up a fight at Ellen Road, potentially there's points there for them, and could use Villa and United drawing. That would be helpful. Pin back Villa, and no one wants United being too high up the table. Like they can, bye guys. They've actually been quite obviously 4-4 draw we touched on earlier, but I think they've created the most chances in the league. They've had the most shots. They're going forward. They're okay. They just, I mean, even though they've got rid of Onana, they still shipping quite a lot of goals, thankfully.
Yeah, and it's how often do you say if a team puts 4 against Manchester United in recent years, it's probably a loss for United. So for them to have scored those 4, even though it ends up as a tie, it's good production rates. Glenn, are you looking forward to anything?
I think it's a great week of games, a great weekend of games. There's some absolute crackers here. Newcastle, Chelsea. It's a shame it's so early for us. I want to sit down and watch that. Mm-hmm. Move to Spurs, Liverpool. That's a game that feels like it has chaotic energy, right? Frank under huge pressure at home, under huge pressure. The fans are sick of him already. They're completely sick of it, which is just, from my perspective, a real shame. And I mean that very genuinely. That's a real shame. And then, you go to Sunday, and it's a strange old schedule. The scheduling this season is just utterly bizarre, the way they've diced out the games. It just makes zero sense to anybody. But Sunday we have the sole fixture, but at least it's a good one. I think Villa United's going to be a cracking game. I think there's just good matches throughout. You've got the ones that you expect teams to really win. Obviously, City at home to West Ham looks like a home banker, but you just never know. And even Fulham Forest at the end of the weekend should be at the end of Monday shouldn't be a bad watch, with Forest looking in good form as we discussed under Deitch. So I think there's a lot of really, really entertaining games. And from a Brentford perspective, a few people in the comments, in theory, Brentford should go there and put on a strong performance and take 3 points. I just wouldn't be convinced. Wolves have to turn it around at some point. They will get wins. They will get points on the board. They're just not as bad as the table suggests. I just don't think they are. Some performances, sure, the United one, car crash. I totally get it. But as we said earlier, they fought so hard. They executed a game plan against Arsenal to a T, and they just fell at the final hurdle. So with us missing Dango and that changing what we can do up front, and this will be the 3rd game we play in 6 days, which for Brentford and our squad is just brutal, right? We've got Man City in the Cup tomorrow. We had, a testing game against Leeds on Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday is just untenable for a squad as small as ours. So I'm not looking at that Wolves. If it was at home, maybe, but I'm not looking at going to the Molineux and thinking we're going to be gifted 3 points, because that's just not the way it's going to go. So I'm not saying I want to give Brentford a Tonali's, but if I was looking at maybe surprising results, I wouldn't look too far away from that game, because I think we might struggle.
I can see that, and sometimes it's difficult too when you look at the table and you look at the matchup and you go, that's a must-win. But you kind of sometimes have to take these games as a microcosm of what you're expecting. I mean, that Liverpool game against Sunderland, right, and even Leeds, those look like terrible results at the beginning of the year, if I were to show those results in August of like, hey, already in November, these are the results that we've gotten, and one of them being at home. But in the two forms, right, and just if you take the microcosm of just that game, that's a good result, right? Especially where Liverpool had come in and where Sunderland was coming from, and likewise Leeds on the bounce. And so sometimes you do have to take a step back from being that fan and be like, we have to put that away because they're so far down the table and these are valuable points. But sometimes you just have to look at the overall picture. But Sully, do you see anything here that sparks your interest?
Well, something that is driving me crazy, and I don't know if you guys have to deal with this, but like YouTube TV makes it very difficult to have dual screen soccer games on at the same time. Like it doesn't allow you to match like a game that's on USA with like a game that's on another like NBC Sports or something. You can't side by side view them, which sucks because that whole run. There's 4 games going on at one time. I would love none of those are my team. I'd love to have all 4 of those on my TV and just alternate back and forth. So I wish NBC would make that a little bit easier to do. But I think that Brighton Sunderland game is going to tell us a lot because that screams to me a game where Brighton is going to smell blood in the water early. This is the type of game Brighton wins and wins convincingly and has done so for the last few years. And Sunderland missing all these AFCON players, I think is going to be in real trouble. I promise there's no Newcastle bias coming through there. But Newcastle versus Chelsea, obviously that one's going to be must watch. That's going to be a phenomenal game. But I'm going to agree with that Villa Man U game at the end of the weekend. I kind of get why that's a standalone game because that is where everybody's eyes should be. That's going to be a very, very good game. And I think it's going to have a lot of implications down the road for what we're looking at as the season progresses and as the table kind of starts to shake out. No, it's not. He has played center back. It was not. I swear.
So yeah, and that was actually a game that I had highlighted as well because maybe not the same phrasing, but yeah, blood in the water for Brighton. 3 points there gets them 26, which pushes them. I mean, if results go their way, pushes them 5th, so they go from 10th to 5th, and it's very doable. Everton above them playing Arsenal, Sunderland. We already talked about the difficult Sunderland match there. Liverpool playing away to Tottenham. That's a losable game for them, especially given their form. Manchester United playing a very difficult Villa at home. Those results could all go Brighton's way, and if Brighton win convincingly, they go up to 5th. So that is a huge game. That's one that I definitely would circle. What is it about? Is it just because it's Christmas that like Liverpool fans are going to have to cheer for Everton, Tottenham fans are going to have to cheer for, like that one seems just cruel. Arsenal fans are going to have to cheer for Tottenham. That's a tough matchup. I don't know why they chose that one, but it seems brutal. But that'd be the other one that I'd be looking at is that Liverpool-Tottenham game. It's either going to be 5-5 or 0-0. It's going to be one of the most exciting games of the season or the most boring game. And I couldn't tell you right now which it's going to be. The managers, though, will tell you that 0-0 would be the way that both of them probably want that one to go. But maybe a 5-5 just for the hell of it. If we're going to get 1 point, let's go out with a bang. But
Gordo, did you see the post? Somebody made Arne Slot's all-time Liverpool starting 11, and it was legends. You got Gerrard, you got all your guys there. But then there were no players on the left-hand side, and it was just Gakpo playing the entire left-hand side.
Yeah. So that I don't know if you guys jump into the regular Discord, but that causes quite the stir. There's a huge divide between Gakpo supporters and Gakpo haters. I understand the need to change, but I'm one of I didn't want to lose Diaz. I felt that he was a player that we didn't have anymore. There was one point in time when we had 4 Diaz type players, right? What I would call is the vanilla twist, where you just get some guy that just is tired of the gameplay and he's going to take the game on his own and try and beat 2 defenders, take it to the line, tiptoe along the line, and either play a ball in or force a save at the near post. And he was the only player that we have now with that ability, especially with Salah off the boil. But I think that was mutual, right? I don't think that was Liverpool pushing Diaz away. I just think it was 2 parties at the same time saying we're going to go different paths. You're not a part of it. Diaz didn't want to be to come with, and so you have to keep Gakpo. But Gakpo is a very one-trick pony player, but I love the guy. But overplaying him in situations doesn't help either. And Arne Slot's had a lot of problems, I feel like, with his squad rotation when he decides to bring in subs. I mean, just mismanagement of a few people. But I'm a Gakpo supporter.
I equate Gakpo, like I haven't watched Gakpo as much as you have, obviously, but I equate him to like Solomon Kalou when he was at Chelsea. Like decent player, but like is not the first name on the team sheet, not going to win any awards or get any like best 11s, but decent squad player and a high work rate, and he'll sometimes be in the team, sometimes won't. Is that fair, or am I being high?
So and that's what I think it is in a team that's clicking and firing, he just kind of skates by, right? Like he's going to get you the assist. He'll get a good shot. I mean, he'll pop in a goal every now and then, and everything's fine because everything's clicking. When everything goes wrong and you're looking for someone to win a game and you've got no creativity coming from the right except for bring it onto your right foot and try and curl a shot into the back post, it gets frustrating after 5 or 6 times. I don't think that's on Gakpo, but I think it's definitely his inability to create magic has definitely been highlighted in this season. And so it's been tough on him, but it's what it is. I mean, when you have the players on the bench and the coach is reluctant to utilize them, I mean, how much can you blame Gakpo for that? I think everybody knows what he's got, and he knows what he's got. He's never been somebody else, so I think that's a tough one. But yeah, that one definitely, that individual player at this point in time is definitely separating the fans over there on the Discord for American Scouser. But that brings us to the hour. I thank you for sticking. If you stuck with us the whole time on that ridiculous vertical thing on YouTube, I don't know what the hell I did. I apologize. I promise if I ever host again, if I'm ever allowed to host again, it won't happen. I promise. Thank you guys for sticking out. I know we had a little bit of Wi-Fi issue there.
Yeah, Gordo.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. All right. Tonales. I actually do have a slide too. So here we go.
There you go.
Well, this isn't the usual one. I'll hit it for us.
All right. All right, go for it. Who wants to take it? Start off.
Do you want to hop back to the previous slide, Gordo?
Yeah.
I reckon. I think based on form, I reckon Leeds United are going to beat Palace if they keep going. If the Farker magic keeps continuing, I reckon that would be a bit of an upset with where they are in the table. But in terms of form, I do fancy Calvert-Lewin winner, Leeds United continuing this rich vein of form. I feel like they're really just hitting their stride. It won't last. But if they can pick up like another 3, 4, 5 points, that can just clear you away from teams like West Ham who are just floundering. So I do fancy Leeds United there.
I'd love Everton to get something at Arsenal. I don't think they will, but I think I say at Arsenal, it's at home, isn't it? I think Leeds Palace is the obvious choice. I think Leeds in the vein of form they're in, like you said. Yeah, I'm going with that too.
Dang, my original 2 were both actually favorites. I was gonna parlay Bournemouth, Brighton, and Villa, but since Brighton and Bournemouth are favorites, I'm not going to do that.
Bournemouth, Burnley doesn't quite fit Tonali's criteria. So let's be real. We could pair it with City, West Ham if you fancy.
To be fair, Bournemouth is only minus 210 over Burnley, so that's not crazy.
Yeah.
I think it will be a bloodbath. Also, I think I'm going to go with. I think I'll take Leeds. I like that Leeds bet. Leeds, Everton, and we'll go for a draw in Brentford Wolves. That's going to be the parlay. Leeds, Everton, draw with Brentford and Wolves.
If 3 of us are going Leeds, do you want to do it? What do we think the score is going to be?
Yeah, let's do that.
Oh.
Glenn, you go first.
3-2 Leeds.
2-1.
Leeds. Yeah. 2-0.
Ooh.
All right.
Exciting.
Cue a Palace win. Cue a 2-1 Palace. Mateta brace.
Palace 7-0.
I see City playing a decent team midweek, kind of putting nobody's out there. Well, at least a very changed side again, and West Ham stealing 3 from them.
I like that.
Absolutely
We'd
shakes
love
up the
that.
top.
That's
Yeah,
a
so
proper Tonali's for your debut, Tonali's Gordon. That's a huge one. That's a huge shout.
I think Chelsea probably gets points at Newcastle. I think Liverpool get at least a point at Spurs, and so City drop points. Liverpool, Chelsea move up. I think it just makes the at least the December-January period a little bit spicier.
Chelsea has some tough fixtures. We need to beat Newcastle.
Yeah, and JW, I was going to say, you guys have not played well against us the last few seasons. We have kind of had your number for a little bit. They've never been like crushing defeats, but we've played you guys to the end the last few seasons.
Yeah.
So would you say too that, obviously we're losing players from AFCON, but we said it's going to be a tough one. I don't know if you're going to be able to field a proper 11 without him there. But do you think that time where Derby performance, them going home, do you think that's going to play into the Chelsea fixture?
I hope it lights a fire, because there's some players who need a fire lit right now, namely Anthony Gordon, Alanga, Ramsey, heck, even Willock coming off the bench. Trips is not playing up to snuff right now when he gets minutes. And Shar. I think Shar needs a goal in the next 2-3 weeks to get back to a comfort zone with seeing him out there more.
I hate when the 6:30s are so tasty, but I guess I'll have to wake up on Saturday and tune in there.
Should be a good one.
4:30 for me.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. That's why I have the TV in my room. I just roll over, turn it on, and see where we're at in the 60th minute.
Sure, the missus loves that.
That's what it is.
Oh, dude, JW, you think so? This is actually going to be the first. You guys, this is the first time I'll say it on the podcast. We're expecting in April, so there will be a new little Newcastle fan coming in. But I don't know. If
poor thing.
Bears, Newcastle. My wife's a Lions fan.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna get DCFS called on us every single Sunday with this child. But I don't know if it's the pregnancy hormones or what, but my wife has become a sports fanatic since she's been kind of couch ridden. I'll share the story. She started crying a couple months ago when I had to explain what special teams were to her in an NFL game, and she was like, "Do they get made fun of?" So now we have to refer to them as important teams in our house.
Just wait till she starts putting the ice cream back in the fridge, then you'll.
Dude, well, I thank God Callum Wilson left before she got pregnant, because that was her man. And now that she doesn't get to watch Cal over the weekend, she watches a lot less Newcastle.
That's funny.
Well, on that super positive note, we'll go ahead and end this. Hopefully we're all right. It'd be nice for those results to go our way, but we will see. And I don't know if I'm ever going to be invited back, so I appreciate you guys for sticking with me, and thanks for my first and last voyage here on the.
Hey, at least you're not like Timogen and just like go out and get cigarettes and milk, and then we see you once every 6 months. Like, that's fine by us.
Yeah, that's what he's like. I can't host every show. Somebody's got to take over for me. So stepped in for him and let him down, but thankfully he jumped back in. I appreciate you guys for readying the ship for us, and we'll see you next week. It might not be me, it might be me, and then maybe we won't have anyone watching if they see my face. But here we are, and let's have a good weekend. Thanks guys for jumping on, and we'll see you next week.
See you later, guys.
Cheers, guys.